Okay, we can start.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Mr. Yan, this is we have on the Zoom that Khánh is a childcare worker, also applying. So we already gave you her details, her resume, and she just recently achieved PTE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's yeah. So would you like to start now?
Yeah, sure. Let's start. Yeah, can I see her?
Yeah. So Khánh is on the video.
I can't see her. Wait. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just flipped across. Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Xin
Yeah,
chào.
Xin chào.
Yeah. So,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So maybe, could you maybe talk about why you're applying this kind of like positions in, or your work experience? So I'm just really interested in you talking a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you for giving me time, right, and then talk to me. So I think first of all, let me just can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, let me just introduce about myself as well as answering your question why I apply for this position. Yeah. So first of all, my name is Khánh. Yeah. I'm 43 years old. Actually moved to 26, become 40. I have more than around 15 years of working in the child care areas. So actually, I graduated in 2007 in the Ho Chi Minh City Central College of Education. And but then after that, I have 3 years working in self-admin, and then starting from 2010 in the major corporation about the education for the childhood, and I worked there till now, so 15 years in overall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the next question you might have is why I want to apply for this one. Of course, overall, I working in this childhood education, then I have some understanding about the education system, and I believe that Australia is one of the countries has like the most advanced about their education, especially for the childhood. And I think if I have like opportunity to go to Australia and work there, then number one is can improve my my career in terms of like the competencies, and the second one is like I can have a better education for my daughter as well as better income for my family. So that's all about the key drivers that I want to apply.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I think in terms of like early childhood education, I do agree that Australia government has invested a lot of money and a lot of resources in this industry, and it's a key industry in Australia. As you know, like in Australia, our major exports includes mining and education and tourism, and so these are like some of the strength areas of our countries, like our education system, our health sector, and our mining industry and tourism. So yeah, I've been working in early childhood industry for about 13 years now. Yeah, so like I used to be an investment banker, but yeah, so like I've invested. I'm still kind of I'm still an investor rather than a operator, but the licensing the school of our schools and operations are all tied to my name. So I'm a approved provider of early childhood education in Australia. So we have a number of schools in Australia, and I sponsor overseas educators to work in not just my school but other schools in in Australia, like all the way up to primary school, year 6. So I have the licensing at the moment for education sector up to around 12 years old, like for children. But could you talk to me a little bit about your qualifications again? Like what kind of qualifications do you?
Yeah, it's actually it's the college level. Yeah.
College.
Yes, and the major it's 3 years. So for college, in Vietnam system.
Full-time college, 3 years?
Yes, full-time college 3 years. And the major is early childhood education.
Yeah, sure. It's on your CV actually. So the are you aware of ASEQA? ASEQA. ASEQA. It's like an acronym. So basically, there is a accreditation body in Australia for early childhood educators. So
it's a certificate or it's a qualification of a.
It's an accreditation authority. So I can forward you some information about ASEQA via Daisy. So Daisy, so what we have to do is to assess your qualifications. So every overseas educator, before they come to Australia, we first have to map your local qualification to the equivalent in an Australian qualification, and it will not line up perfectly. But for example, in some country, and every country is different, and
yes.
this CEQA, so this authority, there is a link that I will send to Daisy where you can upload all your document, okay, Vietnamese documents, in English, or and then they will assess that qualification and give yourself and myself, potential employer, a assessment of that qualification. Yes, and then we can go from there. So for example, if it done really well, you will come back and say, well, ECT, which is like early childhood teacher, or maybe not so well, then it becomes somewhere in between, like sort of certificate 3 in childcare services, or just like, so there's a couple of levels.
Yeah,
so the lowest level, lowest level in childcare in early childhood education is like certificate 3, which is really a 6-month course, right? But you have a 3-year degree in Vietnam, and your English seems to be pretty good. Like, so I would say that hopefully you will map to a diploma level of some sort that requires, if you do come to Australia, they normally, and then you have to enroll in a bridging course to study maybe just the basic kind of like the legal aspect of like working in the early childhood industry. So normally that would be the steps. Is first you get your qualifications assessed, and then we have a look at the we have a look at the next steps, like from then onwards. Like if the qualification is mapped too low, we will have some issues from an immigration standpoint. But we won't know yet. I don't think your English is going to be a issue, but I also need to check with my lawyers at the moment because things are always changing with Australian pathways for educators coming into the country. But we are in desperate need of additional educators because here in Sydney especially, there is a chronic shortage of workers in our industry. The salaries are very attractive because of that, and at every level. Like, I'm not talking about just teachers, but at every level we're short. Like we just there's a lack of human resources. this needs to be more bodies in the school. And most schools in Australia at the moment are experiencing like a huge amount of growth in number of children. So we're not short of kids, but we're short of teachers. We're short of like educators. So it's a good time to come to Australia. I think timing wise is a good period. I think the Australian Vietnam relationship is also very good. I think it's more favorable than some other countries like China or like India or something like that. So yeah, hopefully it'll work out. And just want to ask a bit more about your so you say you have kids already. So how old is your children?
Yeah, she just is a daughter, and she just came to class 1 this year.
Oh, yeah. Class 1 is like 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah. No, class 1 is like grade 1.
Grade 1.
Yes.
So 6 to 7 years old.
Yeah, 6 to 7. Actually, 7.
Okay.
Yes.
So would her be the reason why you want to work in this industry? Like, are you kind of motivated to work in the industry because of your child?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes. Definitely.
From a mother point of view. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So and have you been doing some study or some reading in pedagogy? So different type of early childhood pedagogy. Do you understand pedagogy? So it's basically like, for example,
it's like the pathway.
Yeah, for example, Reggio Emilia, Maria Montessori, some sort of like a well-known sort of educational philosophies and curriculums and early childhood. You have done.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I did a lot of research because actually, honestly, like I have that daughter when I was like I'm 44, right? Yeah. And she's just like 7. So you know how old I am when I have her. So basically,
not that old. Yes.
So basically, I researched a lot. On that one in terms of like the methodology and then the psychology in terms of like the child development and then what are the things that's suitable. So I'm not going to very detailed but understand about the concept of what is the differences between Montessori or Reggio things. Yeah, so these are the things that I have in a lot in terms of like self-knowledge because it was not taught in the school, right? But then because this is kind of like the new of like from the foreign countries. Yeah.
So in terms of, so you talked about Maria Montessori and Reggio Emilia. So like in terms of like the differences between the two, right? So if you try to describe in 2 sentences, what are the major difference between the two philosophies? How would you describe it?
Yeah. So basically for the Reggio Emilia is more in terms of like a child within the community and then how they are apart and then every person in a group, they will have like their strength and they can contribute to the community. So it's about the not being alone, right? Not about the unit, but then you are the unit and you are in the community. So that role, talking about the happiness of a child, so, and whereas when we go into the Montessori, it's more in terms of like, more of like individual. It creates a kind of like I would say to take the most powerful of each individual based on their own, right? So the two concepts is similar, respect the individual, respect the child as who they are. But then one is like who they are or whatever they do, still in the group, and then they go with like across like the communities. I think that one is more go with like the Australia, whereas for the Montessori, it's more of like individual growth, right? And then more of like the intellectual type of things, right? And create a kind of like very kind of like spectrum or something like that, right? But in a different way. So, and both are similar in terms of like the whole concept of respect the individual, let them grow as themselves. But then one is like more of like truly of like individual and intellectual. One is like growth within the community, right? So yeah, and when I and actually for my child, I go with the ratio. I mean at the kindergarten.
And then say, if you were to work in a Montessori environment or a radio environment as a teacher, right? As a teacher or as an educator, what would be some of the differences in terms of your job? Your job, So what you would do actually differs a lot. But do you know? Have you worked in both types? No, not yet. So more in radio, maybe. Like, are you more radio or more Montessori? Like, so they tend to be two different type of.
My current experience or a lot of things is more of like the ratios.
The radio,
because it's
group based activities. So so you would ask the children to sing a song together or do some things together, and play some games together, or delivering some like sort of lectures, or not lectures, but like I more like group based, right? Yeah.
As group based activities.
Yeah,
and then they will have the role plays of each, and then they have the contributions.
Yeah.
And then the thing is gonna be a balance between individuals versus the group, just to ensure we can grow balancing between their own creativity and versus how within the groups. Yeah, so that's how the activity is.
Yeah, I think so. My the company that I operate, like, so as in like in my private equity fund, we've been invested in 4 Montessori based early childhood facilities, and then the group that I work with in Vietnam is also Montessori based. So we have a contract with Sakura Montessori schools. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. There's 1 or 2 I think they have in Ho Chi Minh City, but they're mostly in Hanoi.
Yes.
I think if you were to work in one of my schools, you'll probably have to study a bit more in Montessori, because like it is quite different, and like you said, like Montessori work cycle, like the way that we operate in Montessori schools are more individual basis. So the work that are sort of like presented to the children for them to do, but they do it in their own individual ways, and they have the freedom to choose, for example, what they want to do. Whereas maybe there's a bit more led dictation in terms of radio sense, right? So because there will be group times and certain times for certain things, whereas in Montessori, like you have kind of like a 3-hour window where during these 3 hours, all children are acting individually on their own path. But if they choose all group together for something, they might, but that's out of choice, not out of kind of teachers telling them what to do. So that I found that with a lot of radio teachers coming into a Montessori environment, sometimes some teachers struggle to make that kind of transition of sort of letting go what they know about, hosting certain activities in a group scenario. There are times for that, but like for much of the day, children are actually left to their own devices. But you're there when they need help. So it's really important to know when to help, when not to, for Montessori teachers. It's like, so you're more you're stepping back. Like radio teachers seems are often like the star of the show. You go into the classroom, all the child is looking at you, and then they're looking for you to do something with them. Whereas like in a Montessori classroom, the children are the stars, and then often the Montessori educators are in the background, and then holding a book and just kind of like observing and say, oh, you need help, and it's a lot more quiet as well. So well-ran Montessori school, every child should be doing something in their own space, and the teachers are there and teachers talk really quiet as well, and then so that we don't disturb other people's work. So but the two philosophy has something in common, which is both respects the needs of the children at the forefront, right? Like, so it's a holistic education. So which means like we want to satisfy all needs for the children, but in different ways. It's just in different ways. Both are really great. Like I think I said my kids. I have two kids, and they went through radio as well, and
really?
then they loved it. But and then they also did Montessori as well. And I think my older one did prefer Montessori. My younger one preferred radio. So it's depending on, some kids prefer to be left alone. I don't. There are kids like that. They don't want you to be around. They just want to do their own thing. And then those kind of kids are suitable for Montessori. And then they don't like people telling them what to do and stuff like that. There are, especially a lot of boys. I found a lot of boys love Montessori because they get to do what they want to do. But yeah, it's both. But it's a cool. It's great to be able to have the resources though in both curriculums, because that's why Australia is so advanced in both fields, because we prepare the environment with a lot of sophistication. So the classroom materials and the facilities are of a very, very high standard. From the furniture to the activity materials is very well thought out. So it's not just kind of like you just put anything on the table and up to the teachers to think a lot. There are some regional teachers that are just amazing. They can just come up with all sorts of like different ways to inspire children to do things. But but if you don't have the materials, it's hard work. The great thing about the schools here is like we put a lot of investment into our equipment and our facilities, and Montessori especially needs a huge amount of investment in terms of materials and because it's very much a hands-on.
That's why in Vietnam, Montessori, actually people talk a lot, but then just some schools, like international schools, right, as you mentioned, just in Hanoi, they go because it's require a lot of like tools, education tools, that is quite expensive, that like most of the school, they talk about that, but then just replicate some of the concept, that's why it's not clear as a result, right? It's ratio is more complicated.
Although things are changing, like sort of, I think like I worked a little bit with the Vietnamese Department of Education. They're starting to get it, like they understand what's required, and there's I think like the Vietnamese teachers I worked with are all of a very high standard. They understand the pedagogy well, and I think from a human interaction standpoint, I love the way that like Vietnamese teachers interact with children. Like I think that's it's really a strength, and that's one of the most important things in working with children is like developing relationships with kids. Like if you have the ability to just at least do that, develop great relationship with every child, they're gonna get a good result. So that's for us what we're looking for is people who can engage in to get the most out of every child and keep them safe and nurture them, but at the same time allow them to be themselves. So that's what makes a good educator. So do you also have some passion, in this field, or is there some like particular kind of area of research that you're interested in, like or in education? do you have any kind of specific like reading topic or anything that you feel like you want to delve in a bit more for more research?
More research, what do you mean? Kind of like for myself interest or
so
like
like
for
further development. Yeah, in terms of, is there an area that you want to learn more about?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I love about the psychology. Yeah.
Psychology? Okay.
Yeah, I love psychology, and actually, I love to understand the behaviors and see people grow.
Behavior.
Yeah. So psychology leads to the behavior, and then how to change those behavior, and then make them feel confident. So that's all about kind of like my aspiration. Number one. Number two is like when I grow up and then I understand all the things and then I look back, I love the current job that I do. It's because I believe, like my belief, like the children from 0 to 6 years old, this is a kind of like the golden times of them. And most of people kind of like not taking care well. So when they grow up, then they have to spend kind of like year of their life to recover from the kind of like the spirit, the mindset. So these are the things that when you ask me about my interest is like to make people always around me feel happy, and then understand about those kind of like psychologies, the behaviors. Yeah. And the second one is about investing into the young generation, means like especially, and then make them feel good. Yeah, because to me, actually, those jobs, maybe people say like quite how to say quite hard. The job is like difficult and then a lot of tiny things to do. But then I love it because I think this is a kind of like you grow a plant, right, for like 100 years, and this period is the golden period. So my energy is loving on those type of things about the people.
How many years have you worked in the classroom?
In the classroom? What do you mean by classroom?
Yeah, so as in like, so how many years, how much experience do you have working in the classroom in your life? Like
doing the training, like, doing the education?
No, not training, but like so actually working with children in the classroom, or like have you spent most of your working career in the classroom as a teacher?
Yes.
Yes,
as I just mentioned to you. Yeah. So basically, 15 years.
15 years. So when you see a child, for example, that's having a lot of behavioral issues, right? So, for example, a child would behave very badly against another child, like being very aggressive or violent. What are some of your kind of like methodologies for dealing with those kind of behavioral issues?
Yeah, I don't know about the methodology. Maybe like so long it's become a kind of like the normal experience.
Because you have, I mean, obviously, because this is a very important topic in Australia at the moment, right? So we have a lot of children that's going through ADHD, autism, traditional methods is basically not, so you can't discipline in Australia. There's no such a thing as discipline in Australia for even primary school kids. You can't send them to stand in the corner or anything like that. No shaming.
No.
But how would you deal with it?
Yeah.
Like in that.
Yeah. So basically, this is kind of like normal, right? I don't take care of that autism, yeah. So, but then I mean the normal behavior of a child. So but this is a kind of like frequent that we face. So basically, when a child not listening to me, right, or they have a kind of like aggressive. So the first thing is I need to understand the reason behind that from their families. Because I think family plays a very important role from that one. At school, I can control me, and then I can observe and can understand, but then at house we will not know. So basically, I think those behavior comes up because of, number one is they want to be focused, right? Like they are not focusing, like not being focused or kind of like taken care of at home. The second reason is because they cannot communicate well, right, on the things. So these are the two things related to the mentality besides the other. For example, they are not well or whatever. So basically, I think the first thing that we need to ensure is about making them feel that they are loved, yeah, and they are taken care of. So for those, especially people, when normally people will say, okay, you are not good child, I never do that. I will need to ensure that this kind of like hugging them at the time that they feel aggressive, right? And then let them alone with me, make them feel good, and then make them feel kind of like breathe in, breathe out, and then with some of like the toys, just to ensure they are out of like the groups, and then out of like that emotion at that time, yeah. And then during and then I will observe that special chart and see if this is a kind of like repeated or not. So if this is a kind of like repeated, understand that this is something related to something at home, and I need to talk to their families and try to understand kind of like whenever we have like every day, we will explain that, and we will ask them to kind of like to observe. But then besides, we also try to not asking directly, but then try to get the information to understand if that behavior is similar at home or not, and something what are the things behind that, and just to ensure we have the communication and understand if it's consistent, and then if the parents can explain us why, yeah, then we know, and then we can pamper in the between. So this is a journey that we have to monitor closely with those who are not kind of like behavior, not normal in the groups.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's good. That's really glad to hear that. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think like, I think I feel good about like your experiences. Yeah. Like I can hear you clearly are experienced educators. You spend a lot of time with children. Like, I mean, nothing beat everyday experience. I think like you can learn a lot from schools and like read books, but like just being around children for a long time, it would just kind of teach us all how to deal with situations. But this area is a big field, like behavioral management, psychology, especially like the world is, because it's moving towards like the digital world, where our kids now, one of the we all face this issue of like them having too much screen time. It has changed the behavior of children, like young children especially. We've noticed that in Australia, like in the last 3 or 4 years, probably started during COVID, and year after year, the behavior just getting worse. And I think like the impact on families, like you said, like often is linked to what happened in families, but it has sort of triggered down to the children as well. And then so like we're all like trying to come up with new methods to deal with the number of issues that comes up. I don't know whether that's the same in Vietnam or not. Have you noticed some changes in behavior of children?
So I think the impact of digital is going to be at the worldwide level. So Vietnamese is similar, right? In Vietnamese, actually, from the education point of view, overall, I think it's like behind Australia. So we are still in the time of like struggling, right? It means like we notice the issues, and we understand that kind of like what are the reasons behind that from the families, right? So these are the things, and we are doing in terms of like from the education, we are trying to make it kind of like improving. But in terms of the education in Vietnam, just moving nowadays, it's just like from targeting from the teacher to the children as a very first place, as I just mentioned to you, and going to kind of like changing to go to Austria are facing and then doing the another change. I don't think that not yet in Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam is just like still like focusing more of the children rather than previous education is more focusing to the teacher, and you have to follow us. Now it's already right. Most of the school already follow the children. So
that's the trend. Yeah, and the work at the moment is like the reversing the relationship between the children and the teacher. So like so from the British way, like so, you know, if like the traditional, like when we went to school, like so when I'm in my late 40s. I'm 48, and when I was in school back in the day when in Australia, like the teachers was in front of the classroom. We just sit on our tables, write down what they say, and it's like a. But now, if you come to Australia, even at primary school, high school, you see the children are actually working on their online materials, and the teachers are there, but they're not delivering a lecture. You know, like it's more like university. They just kind of circling around, helping individuals. It's actually very Montessori based because it's like, you know, everyone's working on their own thing, and then the teachers are more like tutors, you know, like they just kind of going around helping if you need it, but they don't need to do a lot of this kind of group knowledge dispersion anymore.
Sharing, yeah.
Because this whole concept of like one person standing up telling other people what to do is starting to go away. Because as more and more people are actually learning themselves, you know, like on the online, and so you become like used to acquire information in your own time, and then you need a teacher figure has become now more like an assistant, you know, to learning, as opposed to the guiding star. But you might still need a mentor, but it's just totally different now. In Finland, it's like I think we study here. We in Australia we study the Finland model. Denmark and Finland have already pretty much moved to the holy. It's like a holistic sort of the education style is already fully implemented from all ages. In Australia, it's still almost there. It's not completely there, but I think it's there in primary school. But high schools is still kind of changing. It's still changing, yeah. But I think in a few years' time, you'll be all holistic. Everything will be holistic. So,
actually, in Vietnam, we don't call the name. Normally, we just apply and we see. So some of the things you just mentioned, because just I thought from the kindergarten, but then from my observation in the high school and university, especially in
university it's always been like that. Yeah. I think university has always been like that, but high schools is where maybe a lot of high schools are still doing that because there is the examination system, things like that. So you still do this kind of like group lessons and so on, but even that's changing because the examination system is now getting scrapped. Like a lot of assessment, how you even assess is now changing as well, right? So like and then there's it's a moving world. Like the education sector is actually changing rapidly. It could also be in Australia. We have the private sector dominating the early childhood industry at the moment, but that is also changing. So for example, although I'm licensed provider and I have a private company operating childcare centers, but 70% of our revenue actually come from the government. So in a way, we are actually like working for the government. We're all working for the government. I see, my company included. So we all are like government agencies because the fees that the parents pay in Australia are heavily subsidized, like something like 80%, 70 to 80% of the childcare fees. So anything to do with education actually should be free. the little bit of money that they pay here in Australia for the extra things like food and sports and like all the other things that we do in childcare. But anything educational, necessity type care is all free in Australia. Yeah. So yeah. So like okay. So like why don't we just leave it at that for now, right? I'm gonna send. Is there? Sorry. Like, is there any questions that you want to ask me about my group or my company or anything?
Yeah, sure. I have a lot of questions, but then just some of the key things.
Yeah.
So the first thing is about the expectation from you. Yeah. When you sponsor a person, so what are the things that you are looking for? Number one. Number two is like I heard from Daisy that you have like a lot of like branches, right?
Yes.
So I'm just want to understand if there anything in terms of like the location that you think kind of like the flexibility of the location that I may go. The third part is more in terms of like your companies, your centers. Yeah.
Sure.
Information.
Okay, so from an expectation standpoint, our expectations, well, we have like I have over the last 10 years I've sponsored maybe about 7 or 8, no more than that, almost 10 times, right? Overseas teachers coming to work in our organizations. But this is the first time where we're kind of like looking at it with a very open kind of like mindset of what the role will be, right? Before I was very specific. I would we needed a early childhood teacher with a 4-year educational degree that was matched by that satisfied the criteria of a CQUAS teacher's qualification, right? So I would actually only hire those people who can actually be at that level, right? I'm looking at your qualification and your general sort of English level. I think your English won't be a problem, but I think the level of qualification that we require for you to be sponsored as an early childhood teacher might not be met at this stage. I can see that, but that's not my expectation, because I think that because Australia relaxed its laws around the minimum qualification for educators, so that's why I've asked Daisy to kind of I would just consider anyone who's experienced. I'm not going to hire someone who's not experienced. That's for sure. So my expectation would be someone who is quite good at what they're doing. It can fill a role in our organization or someone else's organization, one of my colleagues' organization. And everyone is lacking staff at the moment. So it's, not just my organization, but many other childcare. So yeah, like that's my expectation, is that you are an experienced childcare educator. I expect you to have a certain level of English, which you clearly have. And then I want someone who can fit in as a good team member, and as I also expect this person to actually love what they do. I think that's really important. I don't want to hire someone who's just doing it purely for money, because I think what we do in this industry has a passion component, right? So I'm not doing this purely for money as well. So I love this industry. I love education. My father was a teacher, and although I started out in finance, I always loved working in education, and I have kids, and and it's a good industry. It's a good industry to be in. So like, yeah, those are my sort of simple expectations. As to my company, so we have 4 branches. So we, you, I guess like, if you were to work directly under our company's sponsorship, you are able to work in Sydney or Melbourne, these 2 cities. Within Sydney, so we're located in a very nice spot called Manly and Mossman, these 2 locations. So Manly is like a very beautiful beachside little suburb, where our school there is it's on a little hill with a beautiful view and lovely school. Like I can send some pictures to Daisy. Mossman is a smaller school, only about 35 children there. But old Victorian house, very much a Montessori school. But you're more likely, if you come to Sydney, it would be in the Manly one, where it's a bigger school and we need a lot more staff. In Melbourne, I have 2 more campus in Caulfield and Elmer Road. And aside from that, I'm also associated with Montessori schools in Australia. So I'm an ex-board member of the Australian Montessori Association. So basically, like, so I have a big network of other school operators and school heads, both in the for-profit sector and not-for-profit sector, but all Montessori schools. So, like, Montessori was kind of like my thing, like for a very long time. So I invested very heavily on development of Montessori schools in Australia in the last 10 years. So most of my network lies in the Montessori space, but it doesn't mean that I can't place you somewhere else, right? But so that's kind of like my company setup. So I guess I myself is the sole director of my childcare company, but my company also invests in other businesses. So that's in like so we're part owners of some other businesses as well. So yeah, I operate this as a like a side venture, like so the Montessori schools and so on. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a bit about myself. I'm Chinese Australian, so like my wife is Vietnamese, who's a friend of Daisy. So I lived in Vietnam for 1.5 years. We just actually came back to Australia. Like I really miss it. I love Vietnam. I want to go back. But but my parents are quite old now. Like they need to around in Sydney. So we decided to move back to Sydney, and I'm growing. I'm doing some agricultural type projects here as well in Australia. So it's just kind of like, yeah. But I'm predominantly an investment banker. So like I've just got projects that I manage, but I also put this educator hat on for my childcare businesses, because I always have that as a important part of my business. Yeah. What else? I think moving forward, I need to really get your qualifications assessed first. I just want to know what we are capable of first. Like I don't want to drag this out and then find out, we have a big issue because the qualification is not meeting some minimum requirements or something like that. So I'll send a link or two to about ASIQUA's qualification mapping to Daisy first, and then Daisy can help you to maybe fill out the forms and submit some documents. And once the results come through, we can have another meeting, you know. But that definitely, I hope I can help to bring you to Australia. I think we have the license and the sponsorship status at the moment to do these things. Like and we need people. We definitely need people, and yeah, you went to the right group, like as in like the DSS group. So they'll help you along the way as well. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thank you. I don't have question. I just want to have the last sentence before
No worries.
we can wrap up the meeting.
Yeah.
So basically, thank you for all the very frank sharing. Yeah, I get on the points. I just want to highlight something that I didn't do my introduction at the beginning.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So basically, it's about my personality. I think what you are looking in terms of like the personality, I think I'm quite fit. Number one is like I'm hardworking. I love this job. It's not about that, but then the key things I think is more adaptability as well as fast learning and willing to learn the new things. So I think if I have opportunity that you receive, you accept me, and then for all the qualification that you require, right, for your organization and for the work, so I will strictly follow. So these are the things that I can consider as my strength. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's correct. And then and just it is very likely that there will be a period of study that you have to do, even if you were to be successful coming over here. To be prepared that like you might have to enroll in a short course before you just it won't be like just I'm almost certain that you won't be like straight away you come and then you're working next day like it doesn't work like that. So there's a lot of box ticking and everything like that here in Australia.
Yeah, sure.
But hopefully this can happen, and I've seen this happen before. We have currently got 2 other Vietnamese staff in our company as well. That's been working with us for more than 10 years now. so yeah, like so we I know it can work. Like and timing is good. So like wish you good luck on all the following steps. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daisy, are you still there?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's good to see that
Alright.
you have good talk, and thank you for that. We meet again in Sydney, yeah?
Yeah. Are you in Sydney or in Perth?
No, I'm in Perth. I'll be back soon.
Okay. All right. I'll see you soon. All right. But I'll send you the documents for you to forward on. Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Chuan.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Okay, thank you.
Recording stopped.
Okay. Stop rồi.